HIV is a very deadly disease towards humans. Once you get infected, you can't get rid of it, and many people eventually die from this horrible disease because their immune system can't even fight off normal sicknesses like the flu or cold. Much less deadly diseases, the most high-risk victims are in places where there are more deadly diseases, killing them much faster. The amount of time it takes for the virus to actually show symptoms, you can infect many people and not be treated and spread the disease to hundreds of thousands of people. This disease is very easy to transfer, and it can contract. Eventually all the people can contract this disease and we all die. About 1 in 4 people don't even realize that they're living with HIV, and they can pass on the virus. And about 20% of new viruses are because of people who didn't know that they had the virus, and then they contracted it from the person who didn't even know it. The number one country in the world that is mostly affected by this virus is Sub-Saharan Africa, which has about 1,800,000 people who are infected with it, and they are probably the country with a lot of deadly diseases, traveling through different people surrounding them with like Ebola and many other flus like tuberculosis, other viruses that some normal human being could be able to fight it off normally with a normal strong immune system, but with HIV that immune system is compromised, and African Americans are more susceptible to the disease, affecting them more greatly than a normal Caucasian, Indian, any other race. They're the number one people who are susceptible, so they get AIDS much faster than any other human being in the world.
Interesting. All right, so I believe that environmental sustainability is more important than the HIV, the millennium goal. The reason why I believe that environmental sustainability is more important is because, think about this. When we have dirty water, terrible housing, just like in general the situation that a person's living in isn't that good, it leads to disease. And sure, fixing the disease is important, but then they'll just get sick again because they are living in an environment where they can get the disease. So with this, if we build better housing, a cleaner environment, and just clean up the environment in general, we can give them a more safer environment to stay clean and healthy instead of being successful to get the disease. What I believe in is that as we clean the water, get them clean water, clean housing, and just in general, they would be free of the sickness. In Sub-Saharan Africa, as you mentioned, HIV is a big problem. But think about it. They live in mud houses. They walk 3 hours to clean water. And yet, because of that housing and that clean water, and just not having that right environment, they still get sick. So it's not curing the disease that makes it important. It's fixing the environment they're in, which would then lead to that, which would be a domino effect. And that is what we need.
I believe you're right with the domino effect, but there are places where they have completely clean environments, and a lot of people in the United States have very clean environments. We have clean water, but a lot of us are still dying of HIV, and we have the medical treatment for it, and yet we're still dying. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Considering we're still living in a clean environment,
we may be living in a clean environment.
Still getting affected.
We may be living in a clean environment, but the problem is with that, we have a clean environment, we have HIV accepted. But think about this. The reason why we have HIV is because we already have the disease here in general, and it's spread through genes and from people that are coming from Africa. And it's not just Africa, you're right, we do have HIV here, but it's not always that. I mean, look at, I don't remember what his name is, but there's like an actor who's
that guy,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Who has HIV and AIDS, and he lives in this big mansion. But the problem is he had that, and that was something he got, and it's being spread around, and it's not exactly that it's just a clean environment, but with the environmental sustainability, it at least improves the environment. And I know I didn't get to the point of why it happens when it's so clean in America, but it's a virus that's been here for millions of years. We've had it for a long time,
But technically, we have not had it for a long time. Research shows that a male had intercourse with another species and contracted it from that species. Now, the thing about that is, since people don't know that they're living with this HIV, then they can transfer it like that actor who probably infected a lot of women, and the women will give it to other people. So you see how no matter where you are, no matter
there's
who
still
you
a
are,
chance. You're correct.
you're always susceptible to HIV, and you're always susceptible
do we want to
an
fix the
immune
do
system
we
that
want
is completely weakened.
we have the HIV.
Yes.
We have all that, but think about this. With the HIV, we have this, the idea that HIV is everywhere is not correct. I mean, yes, it's in every country, you know, other than Antarctica, because I've never heard of a case there. Yeah. But with that, we have like this environment. So it's not just the disease that we're worried about. With the environment, we have the pollution, the rising waters, climate change. And when you think about that, see, we have people like in the Maldives who are living in these islands, and they will eventually be underwater, and that's thousands upon thousands of people having nowhere to live and having to move to either an unhealthy situation in another country where they don't even know where they are. Well, they probably do know where they are because they moved there, but it's that situation. They're moving out of something they're used to, a daily routine, and they're going somewhere like Arkansas, where it's cornfields. And it just, with all of this, it's just the environment changing. It makes it a priority because, first of all, it'll fix disease. Not everywhere, but it'll fix it, definitely. It will fix housing, it'll fix rising waters, it'll clean the earth, and it'll make places like Taiwan, Hong Kong, places in China cleaner. And it makes the world a better place in general. And it fixes other problems, like your problem.
Well, if you also think about someone moving from a different location of the earth to a completely different location, that also helps with, it does spread disease, because people from Britain spread disease to all of the Americans and almost wiped them all out.
But you just made a point about my argument, because what happens is if we stop the environmental change, then they can stay there and not spread the disease.
But disease will still be there no matter what you do. It'll still be there.
But would we rather be there or have it spread somewhere else?
Well, there's always going to be diseases everywhere else.
Exactly.
So that's one thing, but there are less people dying of environmental changes than there are people dying of diseases.
But we don't need to just worry about the people. We need to worry about the animals and creatures and just the environment in general. Because if we kill off animals, like certain species, then it kills off other species, and then it kills off, and then that gives us less food. And that hurts everything in general, like the world in general hurts.
Yeah, but if you think about it, all mammals are susceptible to a thing called rabies, which can be transferred through different mammals, which can also affect the human race and other mammals, including mammals that we would probably kill off anyway. So you're saying that rabies is something we shouldn't fix either?
We don't even know if there's a cure for rabies. We have a rabies shot.
Well, we don't know if there's a cure for HIV either. But that's something that we can eradicate.
If we clean the environment, we can create a better situation where we can find we're cutting the rainforest, we're destroying the rainforest, and yet, stop it. And yet, we can find, if we stop cutting the rainforest, stop destroying the rainforest, we can probably find a cure in the rainforest.
Yeah, but viruses still evolve along with every other animal. They will evolve just like bacteria turns into monster bacteria and completely goes against all of our antibiotics, except for the antibiotics that we have.
With the environmental sustainability program, we can make the world a better place by making it cleaner. And with that, as we make the world cleaner, we'll find other ways to cure diseases because we're moving through one system to another. And it just improves the world in a general idea. It domino effects into other systems like clean housing, fresh water, like we have other ideas. And then diseases, and it fixes things in general. And it domino effects into the other millennium goals. So if we start with one thing, but with the viruses, if you clean the diseases,
you can't clean just the diseases. The will,
come back.
well, they won't come back, but
'Cause you
they
can't
can evolve, and that's what we have to figure out is how to stop it
By
completely. But
Cleaning.
cleaning doesn't always, you don't have to live in a dirty place in order to contract HIV. You have to be able to have intercourse or somehow be blood to blood transfusion to it. HIV doesn't have to come from dirty water. It doesn't have to come from dirty water.
But other
But you
diseases
can
do.
contract it that's true. And people with HIV, they have a less likely chance of living if there is dirty water. So I kind of agree with you on that one, but still.
Yes.
But we should still eradicate HIV, so even if there is some type of dirty water, then they are more likely to survive it instead of contracting a more deadly disease when their immune system is already compromised. So if we get rid of HIV, then there's more likely a chance that they can survive from other diseases.
If we get rid of HIV, then what will end up happening is there'll be another disease that will top that. And then we'll have to move the millennium goal to that, make a new millennium goal to get rid of that next disease.
Well, right, but the world will always be somewhat dirty. We can
There
never
will always
always
be something that will
advance.
make the world have a goal to get rid of this, this, and this. But we need to find a way to get rid of something and then move on to the next. Okay, I think we're done.
So I personally think that eradication of diseases can help survive, can help maintain human life and all animal life on this planet instead of killing everything off, which is a big deal. And, eradicating diseases, eradicating HIV specifically, would be a huge impact on the human race, on the animal race itself, and it'll change the world if we are able to eradicate HIV.
I believe that when we clean the environment and like the environmental sustainability goal, if we work towards that, we can eradicate diseases, but we can also clean situations of housing for children, because we have 5.8 million children that are without clean housing and clean water.
Yeah, but there are like many, many children
It's
under
my closing
the
statement.
age of HIV is 13 to 24. That's also kids.
But with that, as we clean the housing and clean the water and just get rid of and get the environment cleaner, we can make a world a better place and a brighter place for our future generation. And we're done.